Hey guys, and welcome back to the channel. It's the WTA Roland Garros final, and of course, it's between two very young and talented players. I cannot wait to break this down, and I can't believe actually how quickly the tournament's gone on. It's been so quick. I didn't expect it to be over so soon, and I'm very much looking forward to the final, but also going to be really sad when it ends because I've extremely enjoyed the tournament so far on the men's and the women's side, and it's actually my favorite Grand Slam. And I'm not just saying that; it really is. Iga Swiatek versus Coco Gauff. It's going to be a blockbuster affair, I have to say, because Iga Swiatek goes into it a big favorite. She was the favorite before the tournament started. She is on this ridiculous 34 match winning streak this year as well since the Australian Open. She's playing some fantastic tennis, only dropped a set so far coming into this. For Coco Gauff, it's a first Grand Slam final. She made her first semi-final of a Grand Slam as well, beating Trevisan in straight sets, the Italian, in very good style, 6-3, 6-1. And she just said after as well, in a very, very level-headed way, Coco Gauff, that she was in a bit of shock, and she didn't know how to react. Said, I have no words to describe how I feel, but she just said she's going to play a natural game, and it's a Grand Slam final, and it's possible that she can win. And she knows she's an underdog, but yeah, she said I've not been nervous all tournaments, which is surprising. And she said something that she does, which is I think a very interesting thing to do, and I can see how it might work. She says in the morning I go for a walk, and that clears my head, and after that I feel great. Well, I should go for more walks, obviously. Thanks very much, guys, as well for tuning into this. We're going to first of all break down the paths or the journeys of each player to this point in the tournament. So I'm going to very briefly kind of talk about how they've been playing and what they bring to the table, I guess, and their results so far and routes. And then I'm going to talk about the head-to-head as well, whether they have played each other before, and then we're going to break it down from more of a tactical standpoint. I'm going to talk about what each player needs to do against each other tactically as well, because of course it'll be an intriguing matchup, and both have firepower, no doubt. Right, so let's go into then the routes to this stage. So Coco Gauff, actually, let's go through the challenger first. I guess she's technically a challenger, I guess you could say, because she's a big underdog. And Swiatek, of course, won this tournament in 2020 in really impressive fashion as only an 18, 19-year-old or 19-year-old even it was. At that time, of course, Coco Gauff is only 18 years of age, so she will be even younger than Swiatek if she were to win this title as well. So Gauff, the 23 ranked player in the world currently, although that ranking will definitely be improved after this tournament. She goes into this after some very impressive wins. She beat Kanepi, but before she beat Kanepi, she actually beat Van Uytvanck and Marino. So let's go through in order, I guess. She hasn't dropped a single set, by the way, which is incredible because she goes into this as the underdog, but out of the two players, she's the only player not to have dropped a set. So she beat Marino, the Canadian, in the first set, Van Uytvanck, then Kanepi, who's really dangerous, of course, beat Muguruza in the first round. She beat Mertens as well, who's a really tricky left-hander. Sloane Stephens, who was in great form, and then Trevisan, the left-hander, as well. So I think coming into this, she's in some ridiculously good form. Now, I guess the only downside is that because she hasn't dropped a set, we haven't been able to see what her resilience is like being down. And that is always interesting to see because Emma Raducanu had a similar thing in the US Open last year where she didn't drop a single set and she was blowing people away. And then she also beat Fernandez in the final in straight sets. But everyone was saying that, okay, on that run, if she had just dropped a set maybe later on in the tournament, maybe the first set, how does she recover? Now, we haven't seen that with Coco Gauff, and I don't know how she would react. Against Swiatek, it's a different ball game as well. A lot of people think that when you lose the first set against Swiatek, when she's playing like this, it's almost impossible to recover. So, might not be the best of gauges to, I guess, assess her mental strength and fortitude, but an interesting factor nonetheless. For Swiatek, she came through Serenko, Risk, Kovinic, all in straight sets. Then Zheng, who definitely gave her some issues, who took that set off her that I was talking about in a tiebreaker. Zheng 5-3 down in that first set, but then took it. And then she beat Pegula in really good fashion. I thought we covered that match. And I just thought she was really good. I thought she was really, really good. Swiatek. Pegula, um, she definitely had some chances. It wasn't as straightforward, I don't think, as the scoreline suggested, but Swiatek got it done and she was good. But then against Kasatkina, I thought she played slightly better, Swiatek as well, and almost kind of warming up for that final nicely. I mean, 6-2, 6-1, so a breadstick there. Only dropping 3 games is really impressive. First set percentage at 70%, first set points won at 79%, and second serve points won at 58%. So that's really impressive. And the winners unforced errors for the match at 22-13, which is really, really good. So that's impressive from Swiatek. Right, then if we look at Coco Gauff's, I guess, stats as well and some things to look out for. So against Trevisan, she had a decent first serve percentage at 62%, but first serve points won at 74% is really good. She also was returning very well. Trevisan only won 46% of first serve points won and 32% as well behind the second serve. Winners time for Sarah's 14-20 isn't the best kind of turnout, and it'll be interesting to see what she's been like in her other matches because probably needs to be a bit more solid than that against Swiatek. Against Stevens, she was 18-23. Again, that's okay. Not the best though. And her first serve points one percentage was very low. First serve's in at 65%. So she's been serving around the 60-65%. And then in terms of first serve points one, she's kind of fluctuated a lot against Mertens as well. She was much better in that game. 71% of first serves made, 72% of first serve points won, and then 19 winners to 79 full serves. That's kind of more like the type of form she'll need to have going into that Swiatek clash. But the issue she'll have, which Swiatek won't, is the nerves. Now, Swiatek might be nervous because she's an overwhelming favourite, no doubt, and she will go into that as a massive favourite, and it's a big opportunity because not only is she on this ridiculous streak and playing really well, but she also has an opportunity to level up with Venus Williams as the joint highest player to have the longest streak since 2000. So longest winning streak since 2000. Venus Williams won 35 straight matches. Serena's on 34. Iga on 34. So if Iga Swiatek wins, she'll level up with Venus Williams. The all-time longest WTA winning streak is ridiculous. I mean, Martina Navratilova, oh my god, butchering her name, Navratilova. It has 2 out of the top 3, 74 consecutive wins in 1984. Steffi Graf 66 and Navratilova 58 in 86-87, which is just ridiculous. So Iga Swiatek a long way off from that, but still some very, very impressive stats for her to kind of get involved in. So we'll see how she gets on with that. But from a statistical point of view, Swiatek will be very much hoping that Gauff doesn't serve 70% or more first serves in, which has been relatively rare for her this tournament. She's kind of been hovering below that. And if that's the case, then Swiatek will definitely look to be aggressive on the second serve returns. And she's been serving well as well, especially behind the serve with the 1+ shot. She's been really good and effective with that. In terms of then from looking at it from a more holistic point of view and what Swiatek's been saying, she said it's a pretty special moment and emotional. I'm grateful to be healthy and in that place. I think she will be intrigued to see maybe the crowd and also how the crowd takes to Coco Gauff as well. I imagine most of them will be behind Iga Swiatek. Now, there's a big question mark around, if Swiatek does not serve particularly well, doesn't hit a huge amount of first serves in, is there a big chance she's going to have a lot of messy service games? Because she hasn't had it all her own way in this tournament. She's had a lot of messy service games, a lot of serve or service games where she got broken, but she's always come out on top, and that's because she's been playing some really good tennis overall. But in the service games, especially, you do notice at times she does battle. She does make some mistakes, mainly because as well you have to remember she's flattened out that forehand a lot more in this year than she had in previous years. I mean, she has been working with her coach to really get high RPMs on it, and I think from that point of view, um, it's a very interesting. It's a very interesting thing because you would expect on clay to kind of hit with a heavier ball rather than a flatter ball, but she's done the opposite, and she just still has a variation, but she is hitting the forehand flatter and with more pace than we have seen in the past. And what that means is that she's able to rush her opponents. And there was a stat, and I know it is different, but she hits her forehand and was hitting her forehand at the same pace as Rafael Nadal's. Now, Nadal is, obviously hitting with a lot more topspin and coverage over the net. So I get that, that might be slightly misleading. Swiatek does also do a similar thing, but not to the same degree. So it is slightly flatter, and especially given that she's been trying to hit it flatter this year as well and kind of just rush her opponents. But you have to also remember that on the men's side, like generally, the forehand speed is a lot quicker than the women. So the fact that she's at the same speed is very impressive and shows how well she's been striking that forehand side. So, I think we'll see. We'll see how she gets on. I think Coco Gauff needs to have a good returning game. So, or returning day, sorry, even. Let's look at it then from a tactical point of view. So, Coco Gauff has one of the biggest serves on tour on the women's side. Now, if she hits her spots and she makes a lot of first serves, she will cause Swiatek problems. She will. Then she needs to be very good behind the serve as well. Is she going to be able to, I guess, try and shorten the points? Because really, she doesn't want to be getting into longer rallies with Swiatek. The one thing she has at her disposal, Gauff, is the fact that she does have this ridiculous athletic ability to get around the court, even on the volley as well. I think, I don't see her coming to the net a lot, but when she is able to, I think she should, especially if it's behind a big first serve and then maybe not serve volley, but for the next, if the return's short, hit a really good approach, come to the net, give yourself an easy volley with that good approach. That will help her. Swiatek is a great passer though, and that could be something that Gauff is very, very wary of. Now, if we're looking at it from a serve return dynamic as well, she needs to return really well. Now, Swiatek, as I said, has been serving well into corners for a lot of the part, and she's definitely serving bigger than I've ever seen her. A lot more aces than I've ever seen as well, and it's definitely bulked up. The second serve as well, she's got a good kick on that second serve, and Gauff will have to contend with that. Jessica Pegula didn't adapt. She kept on trying to return the second serve from way inside the baseline, and then eventually realized, well, she didn't eventually realize and should have, that, okay, I'm hitting a lot of returns long or into the net, a lot of mistakes. I need to give myself a bit more time because I'm taking it kind of like shoulder height. And Gauff needs to then look at that as well and think, okay, do I need to take a step back? Yes, it might be kind of more neutral, defensive, given it's a second serve, but as long as my second serve returns in the sweet spot in terms of it being a decent height for me as well, then why not? Because it means I've got a better chance of one, making the return, and two, hitting it hopefully deeper into a corner because I have time to kind of eye it up. So in that sense, I think that's a good option for Gauff and something to look out for her return position. And then from Swiatek's point of view, she would look to target the Gauff backhand because the forehand, she has a lot of time. It's a big swing. So if she goes hard into the forehand, she might end up making errors because of the kind of big backswing that Gauff has, and that does mean that she, personally, for me anyway, her game is quite suited to the clay because of the big, the big wind up, the big backhand and forehand swings. So we'll see how she gets on. But a good serving day and cutting it down for Sarah's, and I think it will be a very intriguing kind of match. Then the big thing is Swiatek for her. She will be looking to move Gauff all over the court. Gauff is super fit though, super athletic, because I saw in the semi-final against not against Travis and also the quarterfinal as well. I mean, she was moving around incredibly well. She's a great mover and athletic. Uh, the athletic ability of hers is incredible, I have to say. So we'll see how she gets on. But in terms of what Goff can do, and I kind of mentioned it about, of course, she has to hit her spots on the serve big time. She does. She might get some free points because it's that big, that serve. Then she needs to return well, because Iga won't serve as big as her, but she'll hit her spots a lot of the time. So if Goff can make sure that she wants to try and make as many forehands as possible, and I think maybe a good option is to go into out on the forehand. Now the issue is in the women's game, they don't really go into out a lot. They mainly try and hit the backhand, which is interesting. But even if she can find good angles on the backhand, I think the backhand to backhand exchanges she can have some success. The forehand to forehand even as well. So I think from the ground she will have some success. It just then comes down to how both players serve and return really. And if one edges the other, then it's very, very hard to see how they then lose the set of the match. So, or well, a set or the match even. So, Coco Gauff has it all to do, no doubt, has it all to do. But I'm very confident that she's going to give Swiatek a good run for her money at least. My prediction is Swiatek in 3 sets. But let's see how we get on. Coco Gauff, I really hope she plays some of her best tennis and the occasion doesn't overrule her. A lot of players it does, playing in their first ever Grand Slam final, and they end up losing. So I think if Gauff is just calm, which she seems to be, which is a massive, massive plus, then you're thinking, okay, well, let's see, let's see what she can do. Let's see what she can do. Can she take a set? Or can she even potentially win? Who knows? She's a very talented young player. She's definitely mentally seems to be a lot better as well, I think, than previous years. I think she's going to be, a really, really good player, but maybe just not her time. And Swiatek will be thinking that 21 years of age, Coco Gauff 18. It's a battle of the young guns. And I think Swiatek will be relishing the opportunity to try and, break down even the Gauff ground strokes at times. That'll frustrate Gauff as well, having to play extra shots and then also being rushed and then make a mistake. So I think she will definitely, have something to kind of work on going forward. But for Swiatek, I don't know. It's difficult. Like, what does she do? She'll probably go backhand to backhand and back herself. She'll go into him with the forehand. Then in the forehand to forehand exchange, I think she may not hit the ball as hard as Coco Gauff, but she's got a lot of different variations, which is something that I guess Barty had before she retired. And a lot of people will be looking at Barty saying, what can I take out of your kind of page book or playbook to help me out going forward? Because obviously she left at the top of her game. So yeah, that's all from me. Thank you very much, guys, for tuning in. Do appreciate it. Do remember to hit that like button and subscribe if you're new. Also, do remember to hit that join button as well if you're watching on YouTube. We have some exclusive content coming out after Roland Garros on the community tab just for members. Of course, we're going to be doing all the usual stuff on the channel, but for members, thank you to everyone that's joined, and only right that I do some extra content for you guys. Thank you very much, guys. Stay safe and well, and we'll see you on the next video.